exploring niggertainment.
And what does that look like? Give us a definition of that so we can expound more on that.
Well, well, in terms of niggertainment, one of the things that we started off on the hypocrisy behind these ridiculous balloon popping shows and what it actually means and what it represents in a negative way for people in community and society.
Okay. I know, Lisa, you kind of just was going into it, how let me
Yeah.
not speak for you, but let me let you go ahead.
No, I think that's hitting the nail on the head that we are now normalizing rude, hurtful, harmful, psychologically harmful, and mentally harmful behaviors,
Spiritually harmful.
spiritually harmful, absolutely behaviors on modern day platforms for entertainment.
Um, I agree with you, and I look at it as the selfishness of no one holding themselves accountable, and the fact of everybody has a camera, everybody has an opportunity to share their thoughts and voice. So, with that being said, everybody has placed themselves as the main character in this world, no longer accepting who they really, really are when the camera is off. And I think now that we have accessibility to be seen, we think we're more than what we actually are. And that's kind of crazy because Lisa, not too long ago, you had mentioned that on a Pop the Balloon show, people are popping the balloons for no reason. And then you have men that'll say to the woman, oh, sorry, with the personal thing that you shared with the friend, how a gentleman had told her that she was a five. I was thinking to myself, it's equivalent to when a woman would say, oh, you got a little, you know what I'm saying, a little joint or whatever, or just
Or you broke, or you ain't got no
right, you know what I
bread.
mean? Like it's a comparison, but going back to even when we was on a block growing up, like if a female ignored a dude, he'd be like, "Oh, that's why you ain't, you know what I'm saying? You ain't shit, you ugly,
Yeah.
etc., etc." When he attempted
That's
to
why
try
your
to
hair
holler at her,
fake, all that type of shit.
right?
Yeah,
And you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And now the platform is been amplified with the pop the balloon, so now the world sees it. So now it's so combative now, like people are popping for no reason. People are just wanting to be funny and belittling another person on a national platform. And I believe that's where the negative comes from. It's no longer respectful to be like, all right, you ain't feeling me. Where there's one no, well, excuse me, where there's 10 no's, there's one yes. So it's like, all right, it is what it is. If you're not feeling me, if you don't like how I look, whatever, I'll just go on to the next one. But now it's just like, oh no, I gotta berate you and I gotta let it be known, like, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
why I feel this way. So it's really nasty now. It's really ugly and nasty and really selfish. And everybody's feeling themselves more than they should be.
I
I wouldn't
agree.
even call it selfish. I would call it apathetic because selfishness is not a negative thing. Apathy is.
Okay.
Selfishness is simply investing in oneself and looking out for one's best interest.
Correct. I agree.
Entities like that
I
pop
don't
the
think it's
balloon show
apathy though.
is no apathy, meaning careless, meaning we say what we want to say about people without consequence. We don't care what we say. We
But
don't care
see,
how
here's
we
the
hurt
thing.
people. That's what I mean by apathy.
True yes. Yes. True apathy, I think, though, is the absence of caring, right? I think because these individuals care about what it looks like, so yes, I can see the apathy there, but it's like there's intentional apathy, which can't be apathy if it's intentional. Like you are intentionally trying to create this space where you are making people feel bad on purpose for to be funny, which to me is more intentional. Like apathy is actually not caring at all about anything, right? But you do care. You are going out your way to be mean or to be hurtful so that you can be popular so that and I think more so what it is bullying.
So is it safe to say that they care about how they feel and not what anybody else feels? Because they're more
That's
focused
literally the
on,
definition of apathy.
right, they're more
When you
focused
only care
on,
about yourself and you don't care
right,
about others.
okay.
No, but I think that's selfishness. I think
I
that's
kind of,
selfishness
I feel
No, no,
like
no,
we're
no.
teetering the
No,
because
line.
no.
apathy is really the that
Selfishness means you care about yourself firstly. It doesn't mean that you care about yourself only. It
Okay.
means you care about yourself
Oh, okay.
firstly, and then you care about others. Apathy is when you only care about yourself and you have zero care for other people.
Regardless. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
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 It's a lot of that going on. But now look, even going back to the negative, is it our community that's more focused on that and that's highlighting that?
Yes. Because honestly, let's be real. When's the last time we saw a balloon popping show from any other culture or any other ethnicity aside from our own?
I've
Right.
never seen one. Sorry for cutting you off, Lisa. I've never seen one. However, I've seen trinklets of other ethnicities in those pop the balloons. However, though they are of different ethnicities, their mind frame is still of our culture.
Yeah. Yeah, of
So
course.
I could say
No,
no then.
definitely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
say no. Yeah.
I
I've never
think
seen an
that, like, let's be
Asian.
real.
Sorry.
Our community has the hugest influence on all pop culture globally, right?
No,
Like
in
whatever
human
we
history,
once we do something, it's cool
it goes viral immediately.
Right.
throughout time.
And
Before
that's a
we had
good
social
and a
media,
bad
before,
thing because these balloon popping shows, that's very bad PR. That's just
hmm
another excuse, another pseudo justification for people around the world to say, "Oh, look what them dumb niggas are doing now."
right, right. And I
Was that
think that has always been the case. And when there was a time in which we used that platform to promote positivity,
I was
right?
just
Like
about to
growing
ask that.
up, we had like the Cosbys, we had a different world. There was a time in which we were using those platforms to promote like college education
Hmm.
and marriage and family and unity. So we are conscious of this. We are fully conscious that like we have this influence. And I think going back to like the self-centered piece, we do not care. We want to be popular more than we want to be right.
Is it a we or is it an I?
It's
I think
both.
Because
it's a I think it's a we.
I
I
think
think
it's
it is a
turning into
we
more of an
thing.
I because the way how I observe it, a lot of people have really turned in and they don't really care about the next person. They don't care about their fellow man or their
Mhm.
fellow kinship. It's just more about what I say, my opinion, my thoughts, you know what I mean, etc., etc. And it used to be we, but I really believe now it has turned into a more of a I thing. Me.
I mean,
See
I
me.
think it's gotten worse. As far as I remember, like this country has never been a collective one. It has always been an individualistic society. I think it's gotten worse, like with levels and tiers and like intermingling like what it looked like. But we were never really raised in the collective society that exists like in other parts of the world. I think it's gotten worse, don't get me wrong. As far as community is concerned, there was a time that like if you were walking down a street that you wasn't supposed to walk down, if somebody saw you, they was
They was
making that
gonna
phone
press you.
call.
Yeah,
Right. But
yeah.
see, what I hear when I what I'm hearing is it's a different era, different genre because I can only imagine the three of us, we have both of our parents. It slowly started to shift to where now we're seeing children being raised in a single parent household, and we're seeing young men have more of a feminine trait where they're not able to control their emotions. They're more feminized on their approach of aggressiveness and lashing out with no regard of consequences. So with that, it's a me kind of, you know what I mean,
I don't know. I'm gonna
mentality. You don't
disagree
think
with you on
so?
that one.
No, no,
I
I
feel
agree
like
with Luke
that.
100%
I
because
disagree.
what he mentioned is one of the sole reasons why gang culture is so popular.
hmm
Mm,
I
Now,
mean, I do agree with
I'm not saying
that.
that's an exclusive thing,
right,
but
Yeah,
it's
I do
definitely
agree
one
with
of the
that.
contributing factors.
right.
So I agree with that. What the piece I'm disagreeing on is like I remember growing up in the late 80s into the 90s. I don't remember seeing fathers at all in the household. Like if one of my friends, their father was in the house, I was very confused. I was just like when does he leave? When does he go to his home? I didn't really know that fathers wanted to be in their children's lives until I became an adult. Like I almost thought that if a father was if a father was in the home growing up, I thought that I don't think it was a conscious thought. I think I'm only exploring this now as an adult. I think it occurred to me that like he was trapped. Like why are you here? Like I as of right now, as a millennial, I almost do not know any absent fathers that are like people in my phone book, right? Like I can go in my phone and any man that I know that has children, for the most part that I can think of, is in they're in their children's lives. Growing up, that was not the case. It was almost inevitable in my neighborhood in Flatbush, Brooklyn, fathers were not there. So that's the piece that I'm disagreeing with. Like I think
No,
that
that's interesting because like
That
when I was
is
growing up, even if the father and the mother didn't live in the same crib,
right.
the father always had the presence in the
Hmm.
lives of their children. Like
Hmm.
even my neighborhood,
Yeah.
even when I was growing up, dudes knew who their fathers were.
Yeah.
They may not have necessarily had the best relationships with their
Right.
fathers, but they knew who their fathers were
Right.
for the most part.
yeah, that's not my and it's crazy because two of my closest friends are from Bed-Stuy and I've never met their fathers. Well, one of them, but I was an adult when that happened.
Okay.
Um,
But you
I
still met
grew
the
up,
father though.
huh?
But you still met the father.
Yeah, when I was in my 30s,
Okay.
like
Okay.
I went to high school with this chick. I heard
Okay.
like when I was growing up, I can count if from elementary school until I would say college, because I have always gone to school in Brooklyn, New York, right? I can count on one hand how many fathers I've met and still have fingers of my close friends, like best friends who like I was allowed to go to their house, they were allowed to come to mine. I can count. I think one friend in my entire childhood's father was in the house.
Hmm.
Everybody else, the father was not around and like you said, you might have known who your father was, but the presence was very holidays.
It was or shaky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like to the extent that I know fathers who are always with their children now
Hmm.
is not what it looked like. Where even I know people who, even if the parents aren't together, they will still vacation together on the child's birthday, or like I have my friends baby's father's numbers, like because it's like who's picking up so and so today. Like that was not the case when I was growing up. Like I didn't that they were not in the picture when I was growing up. I don't, so yeah, that was not my experience.
I was gonna ask Lisa, do you think that's more of a cultural thing?
It
Because
could be.
the reason why I'm asking is because I mean, obviously, you guys have Caribbean ancestry, you guys have Caribbean families. It's a known fact that not exclusively, but certain Caribbean fathers are not as engaging as other Caribbean
Mhm.
fathers, just like certain Afro American fathers. They're not as engaging with their children as other Afro American fathers. So maybe, along those best, maybe what you were exposed to was the disengaged father as opposed to the engaged father when you were younger.
Right. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think it is a factor, right? Like correlation doesn't equal causation. I definitely think there's a correlation there. Um, just taking a step back though, fathers weren't around when I was growing up. They were not around to the magnitude that I experienced fathers being around now.
Um,
You know,
Well, I
I
mean,
want
there could be certain factors, right?
and that's
Like
what
like
I'm sorry.
like one of the factors could be some fathers all they do is work. Some
Hmm.
hmm
fathers had two, three jobs.
Hmm.
Maybe
hmm
that's one of the reasons why people didn't see people fathers like that.
Yep.
I'm not saying that that's exclusively the case for every scenario, but
right,
I know for a fact that was definitely the case for certain people's scenarios. Like
right,
I know people personally, they never saw their fathers because all their fathers did was work.
Yeah.
They didn't have time to sit down and tuck them in at night and that was
right,
just scenario. That was a scenario of some people, and then of course you have some fathers. They weren't parents; they were just biological fathers, and they weren't
right,
there, or they just popped up when they felt like it. All of those
right.
scenarios are the case, but also uh, one very important myth that we have to attack is this absentee black father myth. That's actually a very profound myth.
hmm
The coinage of that term started in 1959, and it was done purposely to make it seem like the vast majority of black men don't give a damn about their children. There are
Right.
actually stats that still exist today that Afro-American fathers in the US are 80% more probable to be fully in the lives of their children than men from other ethnicities in the United States. I can't speak for internationally outside the US,
Right.
but within the US, those stats are still standard till this day that Afro American fathers are 80% more engaged in the lives of their children than men from other ethnicities.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can
But
actually
of
agree
course,
with you.
to make us look like shit, that's not
Right.
what's portrayed.
Hmm.
What's
Right.
portrayed is fathers who are absentee or fathers who are not parents. They just sperm donors, for lack of a better
Right.
term, that type of thing.
Right.
Okay, so with that shifting, with that being shared, can't necessarily say where did we go wrong, but how did things change for us, or rather, how did things change for our community if we had both parents or if we had single parents? Now, we was talking about entertainment. Now, having both parents, having a single parent, do you think entertainment has influenced how we were raised and why we did certain things or did the things that we did or do?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like entertainment, more specifically, the subculture of entertainment, niggertainment, it encourages people to be disrespectful to parental authority.
Hmm.
It promotes disobedience to your parents. It promotes disregard for consequences. It pontificates, it promotes gang culture, street culture, in spite of the fact that the average rapper would never want their children to live the same life that either they lived or the life that they rapping about.
Right.
Yeah, you have a point. What I wanted to share with that being said, when I grew up in Bed-Stuy, it was funny because every friend that I think about on my block had both parents, right? And I know when I was younger, I used to get in a lot of trouble. However, I know if I seen one of my friends' fathers or just a parent, period, they would kind of check me or they would give me that stern look like, I'll tell your mother or you need to stop what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a community there with when it came to that. Now, going to our entertainment, that's something that I know that I would see in certain shows, like what you said earlier, Lisa, like the Huxtables, Family Matters, what other shows? It's a couple, I can't even think of them at this particular moment,
Good
but
times, nigga.
227, Good Times, like with a
Mhm.
community, they came together and they kept an eye out on the youth. Now, with entertainment, even entertainment, there was still a lot of artists who sent positive messages. And then you had some who had that street influence, but they still was a positive message within their sharing of entertainment. What I'm trying to see or what I'm trying to really pinpoint is where did it change? When did it start? I think when reality TV took over, like
No, no,
the
you gotta go
flavor.
back further than that.
I
You
think
gotta
it
go
was
back
before
further than that.
that. I think it was
Really?
before
You
that
gotta go
as
back
well.
further than that.
Yeah.
You have to take the drug game
Okay.
into consideration. You have to take drug culture, gang culture, general
Prison
street culture,
culture.
prison culture. Exactly. You have to take all of those things into consideration.
I think what happened was somebody said something relatable, right? Like the reality is, if you like, I'm just a little younger than y'all, just a little, right? Just a little. But if you were 10 years old, growing up in the hood, and you had the Cosbys, you had Family Matters. These were aspirations for people in the hood, right? Like the reality is we did not know black doctors and black lawyers the way that I think they were being shown on TV. They were aspirations for a lot of people. It was not a reality. And I think that somebody somewhere, some rapper said something that was relatable. Somebody talked about poverty and we were like, this is my story. This is my connection. This person is speaking to me and this person is speaking to my experience. And from then it just snowballed.
Hmm. And you either went positive or you went negative because you
Yeah,
had
I
that
think I
duality.
think once somebody said something that you were just like, you know, I'm not embarrassed about growing up in the hood because somebody, look at this person. This person grew up in my neighborhood and look where they are. Look what they've gotten to, look what they were able to achieve. Like we
Mhm.
have similar backgrounds. You know, I remember, and this is in no way me faulting the Cosby Show. I think it was an amazing, influential piece of Black culture. But I remember them living in what? Like they lived in Brooklyn, but they didn't
Brownstone.
live in Park. They lived
Gumbo,
in Park
yeah.
Slope. That was to this day, right? Like Park Slope when we were growing up was not a place you went to as a Black person. You didn't like you had nothing there. There was nothing there.
If you didn't really know somebody who's a
In
family
part, yeah,
friend, or if you
yeah,
didn't have a relative
yeah.
that lived there,
In part, yeah.
you weren't in that neighborhood
You
Nah.
like that.
weren't
Not
there.
like that.
But then
Listen,
even
I would take the bus from Kings Plaza up Flatbush Avenue straight to downtown Brooklyn. My mother and I every Saturday. We would not get off and just walk up to Park. Like I didn't start going to Park Slope until I was a little older because my mother she would go to the medical, like get medical services in Park Slope because they were better there, right? That's how I was going to Park Slope. It was not something that it wasn't a neighborhood you just went to,
nah.
so as a child watching that, it was like I said, it was an aspiration. And they had enough like blackness in them that you laughed at like them parenting the way that your parents parented, but there was something about it that was still out of reach. their
Yes.
their issues were not our issues and my issues were not their issues. So
Mm.
when you have somebody on TV talking about your issues, it makes you feel accepted and heard and seen and validated. And I think that's incredibly important. And I do think that once other rappers saw that, they were like, let's monopolize on this. You have a lot of rappers who've never lived in the hood, who have
Literally,
who
never.
have had a privileged lifestyle, rapping about stuff that was not their truth.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm glad you mentioned that because it's a known fact that the average rapper never had a criminal record prior to being a rapper.
Right,
For real.
right.
It's a lot of rappers who literally not only were they not street niggas, they weren't even outside prior to
Hmm.
being rappers.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Because obviously, growing up in the hood, we know the difference between being outside
Yeah,
and being in the street.
absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
average rapper was neither prior to being a rapper.
Yeah.
That's that's
Yeah, I went to
wild.
real good
That's just fact.
schools.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
And
wild.
you know what you just mentioned about musical influence, just looking back on my life, I was never impressed with a lot of shit that people was rapping about. In spite
Mhm.
of the fact that I grew up in the hood, it was a lot of shit that I could not relate to because that wasn't my life.
Hmm.
It sounded good, it was good entertainment, but I'm like the lyrics sound great, but that's not my life.
Hmm.
Now I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I ain't never do no negative shit in my life. At the same time, I was never in a gang, never sold drugs, never did none of that shit.
Hmm.
So all of the lyrics that pertain to trapping and gang banging, that shit was always foreign to me
Hmm.
because I never did that type of shit. Again, I'm not saying I'm not gonna pretend like I never did anything negative,
Mhm.
but that type of shit I never did. So those things never had an actual imprint on my life anyway.
So, okay, I know where to shift now too. Since we did have entertainment that has amplified niggerdom, what about how we grew up in our neighborhoods where we seen it firsthand with the dudes hustling, people robbing, getting shot? Like we've seen a lot of that firsthand. And then
Literally, people getting shot and killed on our
right in front
blocks.
of
Literally,
exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we either gravitated towards it or we gravitated away from it. And we had people in our area that influenced us negatively and positively. You know what I mean? And so for us, now that I'm thinking about it, it was more hands-on for us. You know what I mean? If the right person was around, they'd be like, hey, come and do this for me, run this pack. Or they'd be like, nah, I see you. You a smart kid. Stay in school. You need a couple of dollars here. Hold this. And they didn't want nothing back. Or like, yo, you want to put some money in your pocket? All right, take this over here. Stand here. You know what I'm saying? Put in some work or
Be
whatever.
a lookout, all that
Right.
type of
You know
shit.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's funny that you say
I
that.
have
And
a
it's like,
I have a
go ahead.
theory.
Go ahead.
I have a theory. This is my personal theory. Don't put me on record. My theory is one day of school or one interaction. My theory is that two people, two children who were growing up in the same neighborhood and had exposure to the same opportunities or non-opportunities, um, had one child. Let's say you had that guest speaker that came to school that day. You had one kid that for whatever reason they were sick, they missed school, they had to go, they had a doctor's appointment, whatever happened, they missed that guest speaker, and you had the other child who was in school that day. Yes, I think that that is a very generalized way of explaining all people, which I can't do that, right? But my theory is one interaction, that there was one interaction that one person had, that the or you, like I think like you gentlemen just stated, you had somebody who they saw with the money, and they had a conversation or they had an experience where they were like, I like this, right? I think it you take two children who had growing where I grew up, I didn't even know my neighborhood was bad until I became older. I lived there. I had to go in that block. I had to go home.
Right.
I found out as an adult that people would avoid my block. Like people would walk around my block and take like an extra 2 blocks just to avoid my intersection. Didn't know that because I live there, right? But you walk through your neighborhood every day and you see the things you see, and everybody is exposed to the same thing. And my theory is that one child just something, they missed something. They either missed the bus that day, or that other child got on the block a little earlier and they saw something else, but it's one day that separated how one child, what they gravitated towards versus what the other one did.
Yeah, I can agree.
No,
I
that's
can,
100% fact. Yeah.
yeah, I can agree with that. And you know what's funny? With you sharing that, right? It makes me think about this one sole individual on my block. And people who know, we used to call him Biscuit, right? So Biscuit, like he used to have to stay on his porch. Like it was rare that his moms would let him off the porch, you know what I'm saying, to play or whatever. So we used to make fun of him and all of that because he had to stay on the porch where his moms could look out the window and see him. So we get older, everybody grows up, and then once he was able to really rip and run, like he went way beyond the point of like, damn, like Biscuit out here wilding, like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like what he got going on until the point where, he got caught up in something real deep. You feel me? So it's like what you said, like it's all about the structure and the opportunity and like where you're placed at. And when I think about that, I'm like, damn, I'm very lucky because we grew up in New York City, like, you know what I mean? And it's just like when you look back and when your brain really accepts some of the things that it's seen or gone through, it's just like, how the hell did I survive? Like, I used to walk down that block all the time and it was dangerous and this happened. And I remember, and it's just, you know what I mean? Like, you put all of those parts of the puzzle together. And I think now when I reflect and when I see entertainment or just how social media is playing out, it's just like, man, like a kid is going through the same thing I went through, but just in his day and age with all of this social media. But it'll baffle me to be like, how did they survive? Because they're going through their own thing with just this platform of exposure. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Overexposure. Yeah.
right, overexposure. And we got the same overexposure too. You know what I mean?
It
Like,
was just in a different way.
right, in a different
It
Yeah.
was
way,
in a
like
different way.
coming out your house to go to school and the shootouts happening, and you watching it happen, a person drop guts and brain. You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? And it's
I
just like,
reflect
damn.
now, and it didn't occur to me again until being a full-fledged adult. The first time I saw somebody get shot dead, I couldn't have been older than 9 because I
Yeah.
know what school I was going to, and I was walking home from school.
Hmm.
And to think that my son is going to be 7 this month, and to think that there are some things that he has never been exposed to And it's baffling because some of the things that I think we normalized growing up, again, going back to like the entertainment piece, when somebody was speaking your language, right? Because it's like the lessons that were taught on, especially Family Matters, you had the little violin music in the background when it was like a heartfelt
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Nobody was having those conversations with us. We were seeing the shootouts and walking home.
Mm-hmm.
And you were expected to do your homework, do your chores, whatever, and get up and go back outside the next day. There are some things that if I was exposed to now, I would be so shook to leave my house.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the option as a child. Again, I did not know I didn't know my neighborhood was dangerous. I didn't know because we all lived in the same place. We all had the same exposure. We all saw the same things. I'm 9 years old. I have to walk past gangbangers,
Yeah.
drug dealers, y'all gambling in the
Thieves,
corner, in the
crackheads.
staircase,
Yeah.
right? I have to walk past all of this to get home.
Yeah. And it's normal, like it's
It's
Yeah.
normal.
regular.
Like, yo, for
It's
example, I remember the first time I traveled outside of the US, right? I didn't hear not one gunshot nowhere. And I'm like, this is not normal. But the reality is, hearing gunshots every goddamn night
It's
is not
not,
normal.
yeah, it's not
yep.
normal. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
Absolutely.
tell you this. I was a little older because I probably was in college at the time. There was a shootout. I lived on the first floor of my building. So anything that happened, I heard it, right?
Mhm.
There was a
So that
shootout
was like the foxhole. Yeah.
Yeah, for real,
and
for real.
I'm doing like a homework assignment and I hear the gunshots. I kind of stopped what I was doing for a second.
Like that scene in Boys in the Hood.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And I heard the gunshots. They went around and interviewed people the following day, how many gunshots, da, 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 da. I was out. I was either at work, I was at school. I was never in the house. Like by this point in time, I never was in the house. I was only home to like sleep. And when the news report came out on how many gunshots it was, I was like, that's not how many. I was like, it was seven. I was like, it was absolutely seven. Because it happened right outside my window.
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, it wasn't five, it was seven. And I was able because I remembered the pattern of the shots. I
Yeah,
remembered the bop, 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 bop,
You
bop,
know what
bop.
that's called? That's called trauma memory.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. At the time, that's not what it felt like, right? Like at the time, it was just like it was a protective factor for me to know what's going on. But you're absolutely right. Like to
Because
this day,
realistically,
I remember the
even if a
pattern.
nigga try to rob you and you pack him up, that's still trauma.
Yeah,
In
Hmm.
yeah,
spite of the fact
yeah,
that you won.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's still
Because
trauma. It's still a
because of
traumatic experience.
because of what your body had to the fight or flight, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
syndrome. And it's
yeah.
more of what are you gonna lean more into? You know what I mean? Are
Right.
you gonna fight or are you gonna, you know what I'm saying, flight?
You're
And
either gonna fight or you're gonna flee.
right,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And it's like for a lot of us are locked into that whole fight mechanism because it's just like, yo, I'm gonna stand my ground. I ain't gonna let nobody come and just, you know what I'm saying, come at me crazy or treat me any kind of way because the whole training of thought, where I'm
In
from,
the culture. Yeah.
how I was brought up, you know what I'm saying?
But there's another element to that too. And that's why I tell people all the time. There's a difference between courage and stupidity.
Yes.
A lot of people got put down because their chest was puffed up and their ego was inflated. And instead of walking away, like I tell people all the time, walking away is not always a weakness.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes you can't walk away, but other times you can. And there's certain people they got put down because they chose the wrong time to not walk away.
Absolutely. And to go back on what Lisa had said, where Lisa was like, even with my son or my children, I look at it like I will do anything in my power to make sure my children don't experience or go through what I went through when I was a child, right? And I think it's the same thing with the entertainment now, where you were stating that rappers don't want their children to listen to their music or to go through what they went through as when they was brought up. And even prior to that, when their parents was raising them, their parents probably went through something traumatic where they didn't want them to go through it, but they gravitated towards music. So they were storytellers in our neighborhoods growing up, and they became the entertainers and things like that. So I could kind of see how it plays out, but it doesn't make it right because you're still projecting that on another group of individuals
Do
to.
you think rappers are allowed to see it as just a job, right? Like for instance, I work within correctional mental health. I'm very proud of the work I do, but there is a part of me that does not want my son to know what I do, right? Like I
Okay.
don't want my son to know I technically work in jails. And I'm passionate about the work I do. I'm proud of the work I do, but I think until he's older and he understands why having mental health within correctional settings is important. Like we would have to have a conversation about what mental health is and what
Mm-hmm.
trauma is. And there's a lot of things that I would have to explain to a 7-year-old that just may not make sense to him, right? So is it possible that rappers see what they do as a job? Like they are not attached to the words, the lyrics, the lifestyle. They are at work.
We
That's
we
most.
we
That's
can't.
most of them.
It is, but we can't do
Most of
that.
them, they
It's
just see it as getting to the bag, like you
right, but
said. Most of them
it's
just
not
see it as work.
right,
You're
but it's
right.
not fair for us to generalize all because then if we generalize all, that's like saying all podcasters think like this or all. We gotta put it more to individualize. We have to individualize that as them being artists because we could say DMX, LL Cool J, Jay Z, all dope artists, but they all spew something different. They all come from a different line of something. You know what I mean? Um, one is from Yonkers, one is from Brooklyn, one is from Queens. That in itself is a different. You see what I'm saying? And then how they project and the stories that we know about them. You feel what I'm saying? So it's kind of unfair to say that it's a job. It could be a job, but it could also be to them as individuals. We know Jay-Z, he's about business, he's about his money, etc., etc. LL, I can't really say, but you know what I'm saying? LL has pretty much he's done this for decades. DMX, we know DMX has lived and walked everything that he has said. So I think it's kind of
He's one of the
unfair.
few
Right,
like
one of the
that.
few, like you was just saying. So it's just like, of course, the music from our generation and this generation is completely different, but we still can't put it all off as, you know what I'm saying? It's a job for them because some of them take it literal and we see them killing and knocking one another off like it's nothing more now than we did when we was growing up. You know what I'm saying? So you can't say that these rappers take it like it's a job. Like some of them, like this is what I live for. This is what I do. And I guess you could say a job, but some of them is like it's
Well, I mean,
more.
to be honest, in the U.S. now, arguably one of the most dangerous occupations
Is
in the
yep,
U.S. is to be a rapper.
yep.
Like on average, 300 rappers get killed every year in the United States. On average,
That's insane.
that's a problem.
That is. That is.
That's a serious problem.
That is. That definitely is.
So why does
And not
everybody
enough
want to
people are
do it?
speaking about that.
Huh?
Why does everybody want to do it then?
It goes back to what we were saying
Because
earlier. Everyone to
it's
tell want
considered
want
easy
to tell a
money.
story, and
It's
everybody
considered
want to tell a
easy money.
story. Everybody want to tell a story,
Yeah.
and
Get paid to do it.
get
Yeah,
paid to do it. It's
yeah.
glorified. One of the most sadistic things is glorified, and unfortunately, it goes back to entertainment. Who gets the money
But
for
see, in
this?
our culture, people have like higher ups in like music industry and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Unfortunately, they've been very successful at automatically equating music with criminality.
Right.
That doesn't exist in any other music genre. Like,
No.
for example, when's the last time you heard of a country music artist
Beef with
spinning the
one
block
another.
on another a country music artist?
Yeah.
Mhm.
When's the last time you heard of an opera singer making
Never.
an opera diss track on another opera singer?
Never.
Never.
Never. If they don't like one another, you'll hear about it at as they went to like
Or
a
like in an
gala or
interview or
something and
something
they
like that,
didn't
not in their music.
shake
Right.
hands or something like that. But they're not
Right.
killing one another because you know what I mean? Oh, you said
When's the
this.
last time you heard about somebody getting shot at the Latin Grammys
Never.
or at the AMAs or the VMAs? Never.
Never. Ever. It's sad. It's
It's
very,
crazy.
very
Like
sad.
you'll never hear someone like Garth Brooks talk about I'm smoking on Billy Ray Cyrus. You will never hear something like this. Never.
Ever. It's sad, man. It's sad. Like, is it even possible for a cleansing to happen in rap?
That's a good question.
I think
I
it's
don't have the
possible.
answer.
I think it's
Yeah, I don't
possible.
either.
I think it's possible. I don't know what would have to happen though, right?
Yeah.
Because rap wasn't always what it is today. So that means because there was when rap what first came out, rap was positive.
Right.
Like,
And for a whole decade, rap was very, very similar. And then boom, the evolution started to
yeah,
happen very, very quickly. And
Hmm.
like you know there's a trend in rap music. Every 5 to 10 years, it goes through a very
right. So
distinctive
Yeah.
I
evolution.
think I don't know what it would take for us to circle back, but rap is not stuck in one phase, right?
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if I don't I think it's worse. I think it's worse as
Yeah.
far as like the component that we're discussing is concerned. But if we have gotten here and you and to your point, Garth, Gareth, sorry, you said Garth Brooks, Gareth.
No, you know,
AKA
ironically, that was one of my nicknames in school. People would literally call me Garth Brooks in school,
Garth
like as a
Brooks.
nickname.
Like you,
Yeah.
and it's funny because before you said it, I was like, I said Garth in my head before you said Garth Brooks. Like I knew that that's what you were gonna say. Gareth, sorry.
Y'all share the
And I
initials.
don't know what it would take to get there, but there have been a lot of changes in rap, and maybe within the next 50 years, who knows what rap will look like. Like at this point, I really can't figure out how it can get worse, right? Like how can it get
For
worse?
real. But the
Like
sad thing is it can get
it
worse.
can,
Like,
it can,
that's the crazy
and
part.
probably will.
And it is worse because look how many of these youths are killing one another or the way how they beefing. And it's
But
like,
see, here's the thing, right? In terms of like murders, in terms of crime, right? When you look at it realistically, like in the hood, more people were getting dropped years ago. The difference is that
the social, yeah.
people are more reckless now.
Right.
People are way more reckless now. Like there's a lot more innocent bystanders who get killed than back in the days.
Hmm
Cause you like
Okay.
these average street niggas, they don't even know how to shoot right.
hmm
Like
I also
they think
think
it's a
back in the
video
day,
game.
we
They
knew
think it's
not to
Max
be
Payne and
outside.
they think they
Yeah.
John Wick and shit.
Agreed.
They be
I
straight
think,
missing a target, hitting innocent bystanders. You hear it all. You hear about it all the time. Innocent bystanders getting sniped, getting hit, getting killed. Like things like that didn't happen as much
but
as it was back in the day.
I think back in the day,
Yeah.
you were only outside for one or two reasons. Like
Yeah.
you were not outside
You was either
past a certain
dealer or you
time.
was a fiend.
Yeah.
Like right, like when we were children, you were not out. If you were outside past a certain time, you it was
You was
expected that
asking, yeah.
You was
you
in
were
the
living a
mix.
certain
Yeah, you was
lifestyle.
asking
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, that was
You asking
understood.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely was asking for it. Yeah, well, I guess we had another interesting talk. Anything you guys want to end with on that note?
Bring
Don't go
back
on balloon
positive
popping
role
shows.
models
Don't-
in entertainment.
We got it. All right, who gonna go first? Gareth
Go.
or
Go,
yeah,
Gareth.
Gareth, you go first.
Stop going on balloon popping shows. Your modern day minstrels.
All right, Lisa, this is on you.
Wow.
Hey, yo, we appreciate y'all coming through and rocking
And
with us once
bring
again.
back
No, of course, of
positive
course.
role models in entertainment.
I think
Yeah,
there is positive.
there's
It's
not
tough.
enough.
It's
Th-
not like how it used to be.
yeah,
I
it's
Because
not
don't
it's
that it's
just
know.
always
non-existent. It's just that it's not enough.
yeah, it's not enough, and it's sad because there's like always some corruption behind.
Wait, okay, wait. Name the positive role models in entertainment.
I can't even name you five.
Because I don't know I
I
don't
can't even name
know
you five.
that the positive role models are still not attached. Yeah, maybe I'm not in like entertainment or media enough to know, but I
I
don't.
couldn't name you five. I couldn't.
Well, you know what? Since you mentioned that, right? We shouldn't even want our children to take certain types of people as role models. That doesn't mean that certain people don't have a responsibility to be good human beings.
Mhm.
But when you think of role model, right? Like if you look at other communities, different parts of the world, they never look at their entertainers as role models
You absolutely
or as
correct about
community
that.
leaders. They just don't. We the only people who look to our entertainers as leaders and role models.
Celebrity,
Correct.
the word celebrity is to celebrate,
Mm.
right?
Right.
Celebrity is not a word. It's not a translatable word in a lot of other languages because
Yeah.
they do not celebrate entertainers.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
You
our
have,
whole paradigm, our mentality has to shift.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are a lot of immigrant parents who, when their children become entertainers, they're like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Right.
I don't get it.
Or worst case scenario, they're seen as a familial embarrassment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah. You ain't never
And
And
and,
lie.
a
and a lot
lot
of a
of,
lot of parents, a lot of families, they don't care how much money you making. They don't care how deeply you pulled them out of poverty. They're
Right.
looking at you like,
You do that?
you
What
doing
is
it?
that?
What?
How is that helping other people? Because remember, growing up, especially as a Caribbean descendant, it's more of your doctor, it's more of your lawyer, it's more of doing something that you can give back, working in a hospital. You have
Being an
something where you could,
accountant, something
right,
like
being an account, something where you could take care of yourself and your family comfortably and give back.
listen, I'm gonna put a pin in that for next week because as a daughter of immigrants, I have a completely personal attachment to that, right?
Okay.
Where in modern, it is very difficult, incredibly difficult to be a child of immigrants in today's world because we are raised with traditions that do not suit the lifestyle that we have to live, right? Like
Mm,
not to say those values aren't important, but immigrant parents do not know enough about what options are available, what positive options are available. And, 20, I wouldn't even say 30 years ago, it was more accepting to be like, okay, well, my mom and dad want me to be a doctor. I'm going to go to medical school.
mhm.
Now it's like, no, I'm going to go to school and pursue what I want. I'm going to go into school to pursue musical engineering, right? Like, I'm going to go to school
and
to
your parents is like,
pursue
what the hell is
Yeah,
occupational
that?
right.
therapy,
Like,
right?
because you could
Like,
get kicked out of the crib for that. Like, you
right,
busted the
Yeah.
system.
right.
And when we just talk
And
about like rapping, right? Parents, they like, wait a minute, like this is criminal. Like we escaped where we came from to
Yeah,
leave the criminals, and you want to be like a criminal? Like, are
yeah.
you serious? Like, it's
right.
it's wild.
And you have a lot of, and I think that as far as influences are concerned, and fun fact about me, for 9 years, I actually worked in New York City public high schools doing college advisement. I have gotten thousands of inner city youth into college.
Mm,
I have some of my social media LinkedIn friends that are thriving in their careers who used to be my students. One of my students, she was on Shark Tank. She has her own business making satin lined clothing for people of color so that when, beanies, hats, things of that nature to like keep our hair fresh and things of that nature. And she's doing incredibly well. So to know that like, and she's Ghanaian.
mm.
She's Ghanaian, right?
Right.
So to know that I think I think children of today, including us, millennials on, we have kind of challenged that, especially if you are from an immigrant family. We have had to like, you have people who are lying to their parents about what they're in school for, and their
Some
parents
people
don't
personally
find
who've
out
done
until
it.
graduation day
Yeah.
that you got your degree in psychology, and I sent you to medical school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, so yeah, I have if we next week. Listen, I got a whole thing
You
about
ready
that
to
because
go off?
See, that's what this podcast is about.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Because my mom was very much like, I think to this day, I got a whole master's degree. I am the director of a mental health program. I think to this day, my mom is still like, so when you gonna get like a real job? Like when
Wow.
are you gonna pack this
But
thing you're
that's the mentality of
yeah,
that.
because
You know what I'm
I'm not
saying?
a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, right? Like I'm not a recognizable my title is not a recognizable thing, right?
And that's where a lot of immigrants they're the children of colonization.
Right.
And because of that, they see title as access to upward mobility.
Mhm.
Right.
So if you don't have this fancy schmancy title with your career or your job, they looking at you like, fuck is you doing? Like, this ain't
Right.
about shit.
Like you just wasted time. Like
Yeah, in
Right.
spite of the bread that you making.
right. Right.
And the thing it's interesting because I personally, because of my neurodivergence, I personally like to do field work. I don't gravitate towards sitting in an office all day. It bothers me. It stresses me out. I prefer to like be at different sites, different places. You know, it makes the week go faster for me. I feel more productive. That is just what works for me. And even with that, it was a conversation like, you know, you should get a job. Like true story. One who I mentioned who grew up in Bed-Stuy, she is an MTA conductor, right? And we went to high school together. And you know, my mom a few years ago was like, you know, why don't you get a job like that? And I'm just like, no shade. But like I went to school for a very, very long time
Right.
so that I don't have to have a city job. Because to me, I feel like city jobs are glue
Don't don't
traps.
don't don't do it because you know a lot of our friends and people's work city jobs.
And a lot of them will
It's
probably
true.
agree with
It's
me.
true.
Yeah.
A
One of my
lot of the
really good
people I
friends I went
know
to
when
high
they
school with. Ironically, that you said MTA. A
Yeah,
lot of those
like
guys,
my
he's probably retired now. So he was working at the MTA for a long time. I
okay.
remember one time, ironically, as the law would have it, I was on the same train that he was conducting. So me and him chopping it up about career and life and stuff like that. And he literally said, I don't even get the chance to enjoy the money that I'm making because all I do is work.
Mm,
Yep.
damn.
He literally said that word for word. And I said to
Yep.
myself, that's not the life that I want.
Yep.